DJ Durkin is now the second highest paid assistant in all of college football. It was time to pay Dirty Dirk and the boys. Welcome on into the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. I'm your host, Mike G, and thank you so much for giving us a listen. We're talking Auburn football. Kyle, Auburn has secured a bag on DJ Durkin. He produced, we talked over and over on this show again about the amazing things he was able to do with that side of the football. Auburn had a top 25 defense in 2024, headed into 2025. I felt like this was the one assistant they had to secure. Right? Continuity of coaching staff is so important to building a program. And Auburn put a commitment. They made him the second highest paid coach, assistant coach in college football. I feel good about this. I think this was the right move.
For sure. It's interesting. Usually, apparently he was like Ohio State was pursuing him really, really hard.
Yeah.
And he ended up staying here. And we never even heard anything about that up until just all of a sudden, boom, it's announced that he's extended and they double essentially his salary, which is insane for at the college football level. But $2.5 million to coach one side of the ball with all the headaches that go along with being a head coach in today's game, not a bad gig. Not a bad gig to have.
Yeah, definitely not a bad gig. Again, $2.5 million. There are head coaches at the D1 level that don't make that.
Oh, for sure.
So it's interesting to see Auburn pull out the bag. But now that we know that Ohio State was actually pursuing him, and why wouldn't they? Look at what Auburn was able to do last year in the SEC.
Freshmen.
Yeah, with freshmen. Crazy. So, we knew that DJ Durkin had an A1 defensive pedigree. So this is not a secret to anybody that this guy is a good coach. But this season, coming out of practice, and what I've heard from players and other assistant coaches is that and what I saw with my own eyes, Kyle, and you saw it too when you were there, when you watch defensive practice at Auburn, they were organized, man. They were a well-oiled machine. DJ Durkin was motivating his guys. Guys knew where they had to be, what the assignment was. And we can't really say that for the offensive side of the ball consistently. At times, people knew where they were supposed to be. At other times, it looked a little haphazard. Defense was not the issue. They weren't perfect, but certainly they were the strength of Auburn football in 2024.
He got the most out of them. There's no doubt about it. He treated the defensive side like he was the head coach. I'm the head coach of this side. I got this. And then I respect Hugh Freeze for saying, hey, I'm going to give you the reins. And then that's you. You handle that. You do what you got to do over there. And it's paid off huge dividends. I do think it speaks a lot to the fact that the opportunity to go to Ohio State was on the table. And imagine your resume, your building that you could put back, on paper to go over there with all those 5 stars, probably play for another national championship. And I'm sure their money was probably close to what Auburn had to offer. I think there may be a conversation there about what Durkin sees in the vision that Hugh has and maybe what they're building and him wanting to stay here and be a part of it. I think that speaks volumes too.
Absolutely. Look, Durkin's defense was dealing out nightmares in this year's Iron Bowl. I think, what was it, 4 or 5 turnovers in that game? I think it was 4. Interceptions, forced fumbles. They were wreaking havoc. Had Auburn been able to take advantage offensively, on most of those turnovers, we might have seen a different outcome in the Iron Bowl. And so if you're Hugh Freeze, you feel good about this because you don't have to micromanage that side of the ball. You don't even need to be involved. You hired a guy, you let him run his scheme, and you figure out what's going on in the offense.
Just get in players. Just keep getting in players. Hugh's done a really good job recruiting the defensive side of the ball since he's been here. Just keep getting in players and then let him have it. I love that setup. Like, get this guy his studs and then let him mold them and make them into the SEC players. I love the balance there. Just get me the players and then get out of my way. And Hugh seems cool with that.
Yeah. And now on the recruiting front, or from the recruiting standpoint, Kyle, this helps you. Knowing who your coach is going to be helps you, right? And so when you say, hey, come play for DJ Durkin, He's going to be here. Look, we just signed him to a deal. If you're a defensive prospect, you feel good about that if you're committing to Auburn, that they're not going to pull the rug from under you after you get in, because I'm telling you, kids had to be sitting in their living rooms last year saying, I want to play in that defense in the SEC. They were crazy good. Anybody who knows football outside of the wins and losses, that was good quality football being played there on the Plains under DJ Durkin.
Heck yeah. And hey, he doesn't care. If you're a freshman, you can play. We got proof of concept. We got Jay Crawford. We made Jay Crawford a household name. You got Caleb Harris, the lowest rated signee in the whole class. We turned him into a household name. Malik Blockton, he's going to be a starter, a high quality starter this year as a sophomore, played a lot of snaps last year. And then DeMarcus Riddick, a guy that didn't have the best coaching in high school, but he was a freak athlete. Came in really raw. Hey, we found a way to make him a weapon. We found a way to make him fit in. I just love that's got to excite kids. I mean, and it's probably why you have in this 2026 class, you got 3 big defensive commits already, 2 of them in the top 100, all 3 inside the top 150. And Durkin's no slouch on the recruiting trail himself. It's not just Hugh getting the players. Durkin gets out there and grinds as well, and then he can turn them into SEC players. It's just it's really good on so many different levels that they went ahead and locked this thing in.
Yeah, I agree. Again, from what we know, the biggest detail we know is the top line number, which is $2.5 million. That's behind Penn State's guy. I'm sorry, his name just fell out of my head just a second ago.
Who came from Ohio State.
Yeah.
It's like 3.1 million or something like that.
Yeah, 3.1. Jim Knowles. Jim Knowles.
There you go.
$3.1 million. So you got to love what Auburn's doing there. Again, secure your guy, move on to other things. This is a slam dunk. Don't trivialize the easy stuff.
Hey, I want one more point that I think is kind of crazy. If you really think about it, think about the records, think about what the product that's been put on the field, and think about how quickly Auburn, the people that matter in Auburn that make the decisions, just went ahead and okayed just doubling this guy's salary.
Yeah,
there's still a line, man. The alignment is still huge behind Hugh. No matter what some of us fans may think, the people still believe in him. They still believe in the vision, and I think that speaks volumes to just say boom out of the blue with we didn't have any idea this was going down. Got to get this guy signed, and they didn't even bat an eye.
Yeah, look, I think you've invested too much at this point to not still have that attitude. Get behind Hugh Freeze. This was his guy. He went out and got this guy. And though Hugh doesn't coach defense, as the head coach, you still get credit for bringing in the guys who get the job done. And that's what DJ Durkin did. So, this is a win for Hugh Freeze as well, too.
Sure.
Not just Auburn, but again, you cannot take this W away from Hugh Freeze. Fan reaction, Kyle, on social media has been overwhelmingly positive. I feel like Auburn could have a top 10 defense next year. It feels like most people agree that the defense is headed the right direction. Now, there was some consternation from fans over Durkin's past. I think we should be past that at this point, man.
Yeah,
he's coaching football. Sounds like he's doing the right things at Auburn.
He's been hired like 6 times. So
come on,
got to move on.
Let's move on.
And people in Maryland love him. I mean, he's got us a pipeline going at St. Francis. So, time
to move on for sure. Speaking of moving on, Auburn basketball is moving on to the Iron Bowl of basketball, undefeated. We're going to talk about them right after a quick word from our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com and use code REPORT to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. If you're going to be stressing the game this coming Saturday, Kyle, the Rogue Shop has some stuff to keep you calm. If you're going to be in Tuscaloosa, maybe just don't get caught with Rogue Shop stuff on you. But rogueshop.com, pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life. Bammers, if you got Bammers in your life, the Rogue Shop will help keep you calm around your Bammer friends. Again, rogueshop.com, use code REPORT to get 15% off that Rogue Shop order. Longtime sponsors of the War Report. We appreciate them for sponsoring this segment. Jumping back into it, sir.
I needed some Rogue Shop about midway through that game.
Auburn bounces back nicely after a home loss. If you had told me at this point in the season that Auburn would be undefeated on the road and have a loss at home, I would have told you that's crazy.
You're on
But
Rogue Shop.
here we are. All right.
Yeah.
Denver Jones bounced back nicely from what was easily the worst game of his career.
Mm.
That it came after probably was one of the best games of his career. So 2 games ago, 4 for 4 from the field, didn't commit a single personal foul. And then after that, he didn't hit a single shot, 0 for 4 from the field, and just 3 personal fouls and a bunch of turnovers. Tonight, 7 of 10 from the field, 5 of 7 from 3. 21 points. He added a rebound. He had a couple turnovers there, but only committing 1 personal foul. And the perfect compliment to him tonight, Chaney Johnson, 9 of 10 for 20 points. In this one, he added 5 rebounds to boot. This was a great win for Auburn on a night that was a little pedestrian for Johni Broome. I know 17 and 7. It sounds ridiculous to say that's pedestrian, but for Johni this year, that is kind of, whenever he doesn't get a double-double, that's like a bad performance for him.
Yeah, typically when he puts up 16 shots, he should have probably closer to 30 points. But
yeah,
no, I said last week, I think I really believe that this team goes as Denver goes offensively. If you go back and look at it, I'm not saying Auburn can't win if Denver doesn't play well offensively, but when Denver is shooting the basketball and he's hitting threes, like I told people, like you literally can't beat Auburn. If Denver is hitting threes, nobody can beat Auburn. Like that means there's too much going on for you to be able to contain them offensively. And then he did it tonight. He went off. He hit his first 3 threes, I think, of the game. And he did have 4 turnovers, got a little sloppy. Everybody got kind of sloppy there after the big run to open the game. But man, oh man, Denver needed to silence a narrative that people say, he struggles against good guards, tough guards. And tonight he played against essentially all guards. The Vanderbilt was just a team full of them. And for him to be able to go and score the basketball like he did on the road in a god-awful arena, it's huge. I can't stand it, man. I let it get in my head. I don't know why.
Ike complains about it. He was there tonight covering the game for us. So he complains about the media section every time he goes up to Nashville. But look, Auburn 40 points in the paint in this one on a night where you scored 80 points. So 50% of your points in the paint. Now, they gave up 40 points in the paint as well to Vanderbilt. So interestingly there, the defense under the rim wasn't great. 16 offensive rebounds allowed is inexcusable. That'll get you beat in Tuscaloosa on Saturday.
Especially when it's a team as small as Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not very big at all. I mean, they had, what was the guy's name? I'm blanking on the guy that was having McLaughlin. McLaughlin had 13 rebounds, and I swear he's 6'4". Like he was big and he liked to bang. So that was, I don't know, that kind of frustrated us. Hogard was another one who was tough scoring inside, and he's only 6'6". And he was putting it on Johni a few times. I'm like you, man, you got to get a little bit tougher inside on the defensive side. Now, on the offensive side, Chaney, I call them little hook shots, the little baby hooks.
Yeah,
they were dropping tonight. I mean, 9 of 10. That's pretty. I mean,
pretty good.
You don't get much better than that. That's pretty good. It's just got to get a little bit more physical. Got to get a little bit better on the boards. Rebounds is a lot of effort, and Vandy had the effort tonight.
They did
on the boards for sure,
and lost by 12.
Yeah, they tried so hard.
That's how good this Auburn team is.
Yeah.
I had a little bit of a different perspective on the Florida loss. I thought they played one of their worst games of the season and lost by 9 in a game where they scored over 80 points. So, if you go back and you look, not many teams are going to beat Auburn when they are over 80 in the point total column, right? And so it was a little bit of a perfect storm of Auburn not playing their best basketball and Florida playing the only kind of way they could have played to come into Neville and walk out with a win. Kyle, I want to talk about Chad Baker-Mazara, 2 of 12 in his last 2 games. Are we concerned about Chad Baker offensively at this point? Auburn's going to need him. They're going to need him come tournament time. Feels like he's on a little bit of a slump so far. If you go back 3 games, he was 5 of 11 against OU, so a pretty good night from the field, but still only 1 of 5 from 3. As a matter of fact, he's only 2 of 12 from 3 in his last 3 games. I'm a tiny bit concerned, but this is a loaded team, so he's got time to break out of this slump.
Yeah, I mean, 0 of 6 overall, 0 of 4 from 3. And then even on the defensive side, where he's normally pretty scrappy, I thought that he, I don't know if it was, I don't know if you want to call it effort, or he was just kind of outmatched with they were smaller, but they were quicker. I don't know if that was frustrating him, but yeah. I think every basketball player has to go through a slump at some point in time. It's hard to just continue to stay hot. But we got to have him. So he's got to get out of it. He's got to break out of the slump. I don't know if it's in his head or just a regular old slump. You know, you just got to kind of shoot your way out of it. But definitely need his offense. Need his defense too because of his length. But his offense and being able to score those baskets when things break down. You know what I mean? Like the play doesn't work, the rotations don't work, and you just got to have a guy beat another guy and get to the line. Like he's not even doing that, not even able to get to the line. So just overall, really tough game for him. He's got to put it behind him quick because we need him Saturday.
Agreed. Look, he still gives you a lot of effort defensively. So active hands defensively. He was not, despite his shooting struggles, matured. Chad Baker-Mazara is not disengaged. He's locked in, and he's giving the team everything he can, even when he's not shooting well. And I think that speaks volumes. After the Florida game, I asked Bruce Pearl, I said, are you talk about Denver's tough night? And his response, essentially, I'm paraphrasing here, is I'm not worried about Denver Jones. Now, I didn't get a chance to watch the post game here as we're recording this. It's probably going on. But I wonder if anybody asked him about Chad Baker and if he is confident the same way he was about Denver that, look, I'm not worried about it. He's my guy. He's going to snap out of it.
Yeah, I think he got to. I would imagine the only thing you're worried about, Chad, is like I know Chad has sometimes, and you mentioned it earlier, sometimes the demons can creep in a little bit. And let's just be honest, they can kind of take over. He's picked on, I think, and a lot of that is his own doing. I think he's targeted in every game to try to get him to set off. So I think it's a little bit of him trying to, maybe he's in his head a little bit. I'm trying to control my temper when I'm trying to think of the word, when they're trying to provoke me, kind of provoke something out of me. And maybe there's a lot going on in general. So I worry about that a little bit. And then it's him kind of balancing it all. And I'm almost just like, you know what? Just let him go. Just let him go. Whatever happens. It's usually more good than it is bad. And then just be on the lookout and be able to rein it in whenever it happens. But yeah, it does look like he's, I don't know. The last couple of games, it just doesn't feel like the same Chad.
Right. Well, the win tonight keeps Auburn in the driver's seat in terms of that regular season SEC championship. Auburn on a roll here. 1 loss in conference, 2 losses total, albeit to 2 currently top 5 teams in the country. Nobody has a better resume than the Auburn Tigers at this point in the season, and they're going to be formidable headed down the stretch. I think Auburn has as many as 6 quad 1 games left on their schedule over these last, 7 or 8, Kyle?
Crazy.
So you're looking at it and you're just thinking, man, I think even a 3 or 4 loss Auburn should be in contention for a number 1 overall seed, but you got to split the series with Bama at worst. You can't lose both of those, right? So in some of the projections that you look at, I think it was Blake Lavelle's, you might have as many as 3 SEC teams vying for number 1 seeds in this tournament. That's crazy. And look, I don't care as long as Auburn is not sent to Seattle, Kyle, because I'm not going back to the state of Washington this year.
We want Atlanta, baby. We want to be in the South. Let's go.
Well, Atlanta, I think, is the Sweet 16.
Sweet 16, yeah, you're right. You're right.
But in the first round, right now as it stands, I think number 1 overall would put them in Lexington playing in Rupp.
I'll take it.
Or they get Raleigh, North Carolina. Yeah. Either one of those, I'm good with for the first round. Yeah. But anything, past, I don't know, Oklahoma, no thank you. It's not fair. I don't want to hear it. Number 1 overall seed should get the most favorable in terms of travel, I think, in the first round. And that means Rupp, Arena, baby, or Raleigh, North Carolina, but Seattle should be out. It should be out.
We will just completely take over that whole gymnasium if
Oh my
it's
goodness.
in Lexington or
It's gonna be
Raleigh.
wild.
I mean, it was loud. You could hear it in Nashville tonight. You could hear the Auburn fans. It was crazy.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, we got credentials back for the SEC tournament next month, which is in Nashville. Great venue for Auburn fans. Strong alumni base in Nashville. As a matter of fact, the Nashville Auburn Tigers Club is one of my favorite groups. They travel all over the country following Auburn basketball. We know they'll be in the crowd and loud as hell cheering on the Auburn Tigers.
It's cheaper to go see us on the road than it is home.
It is. It's a sad day. I sent my girlfriend and my sister to the Auburn Tennessee game, and I still have one of my kidneys to sell the other one for the tickets. But it's a tough ticket to get, and when every week it's a top 25 matchup. Like, wow.
Makes that much crazier.
It is. Great conversation. I want to thank you for joining me. Kyle, before we get out of here, tell people where they can find you.
Absolutely. You can find me on Twitter at _Charlie_5. And then you need to subscribe to thebarnauburn.com. $25 off your annual membership for 2025. Jump in the conversation, jump in the game threads. And then you can even be a part of the show, of my show, the Top Button Podcast. So join in and have some fun.
Guys, that's it for another great edition of the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. If you want more content like this, please hit like and subscribe. We are the War Report on every social media platform. TW Report on TikTok. Signing off, and as always, War Eagle.